Okay, Jenna, looks like you have images for us from St. Luke's. Certainly a great partnership with Canisius and St. Luke's over the years, and have seen lots of really good service learning projects coming from there. So with that, let's take a look at what you got. So first image, we saw this in your first submission last week or in Module 9. And again, I really love the image here, love the composition. You know, our eye typically, because we're trained to read from left to right, our eyes typically find it very pleasing when we have compositions that start from left to right. And I love the fact that we've got this line that takes us down to the conveyor belt, and at the very bottom we have this woman down there who is sort of looking up, and even with the bags of stored goods or donated goods in the background. All works really well. I still think, we talked about this in the previous critique, and I still think we could probably lighten her up a bit, because our eye really isn't that attracted to it until you really start looking at it. I mean, I got to be honest with you, when you pointed it out to me last class, it was something that it was kind of hiding in the background that I didn't see till you really pointed it out. So anyhow, there's a little kind of quickie haphazard fix on that, but I think that helps a little bit in drawing our attention to her, because I think she is really very much a critical part of the whole project. And then again, another image that we saw last week, good shot. I love the sort of dominant greens throughout the frames here, and then just sort of the two hands that are in there sort of mixing up the salad. Beautiful image. Almost could be like a food magazine kind of image, that high of quality. So really nice job with this photograph. And then another image that you submitted last week. Again, I think it's great here, having the You Can t-shirt in there, very centered, very symmetrical in the frame. And the fact that it's so bright yellow juxtaposed against kind of like this sort of dull background really makes it stand out, and again says a lot about the people and what their mission is here. So like that. Again, kind of interesting. I'm not sure what the reason is that you switched off to black and white. Talked about this a lot in the module about switching up images from black and white to color during the middle of a project. I think it really breaks up the cohesion of it. And, if you look at this image and then look at this image, I mean, gosh, would anybody say those are the same photographers, or that's the same setting, or anything that kind of links these two images? So I just really caution you on switching from color to black and white and vice versa during the middle of a project. One of the reasons we sort of do these long-term projects is to get a series of very cohesive images that all look like they were done by one photographer. I'm trying to get you to the point where you have your own signature style, and we've got two like really bright color dominant photographs. And even if we go to this first one, still, I mean, there's a lot of brightness, color, vibrance to those images. And then we look at this one, it's kind of like, it's very somber and melancholic and not very uplifting, whereas I kind of feel like these images, especially through the use of color, are all super, super uplifting. So other than that, I mean, I think it's a really nice photograph. I think, it shows what goes on in this place. Maybe we want to include these people's heads, because they're kind of cut off in sort of an awkward way, or alternatively, maybe just focusing in on this person a little bit more. But the more I look at it, the more I'm apt to say, like, maybe just back off a little bit and include everybody's heads in there so they're not kind of decapitated. And then another shot, I mean, I see immediately again that like bright saturated color of the raincoat in the foreground there, or the background, and that color sort of brings out, without even seeing this guy's face, sort of brings out a sense of personality and maybe the colorful people that this place serves. So hopefully you're kind of starting to see that, how color is playing such a critical role in all these really, really successful images of yours, and how when you go to black and white, it almost kind of changes the tone and the mood and the feeling in the images. Another nice shot, I love the fact that he's sort of looking directly into the camera. I sort of wonder, everybody in the background here is looking up towards the camera. I wonder if, I almost feel like something's going on behind you or whatever is being attracted to you. But nonetheless, again, I think having that eye-to-eye connection with this person really humanizes him and attracts us to him, and helps us better understand that these are all human beings that are going to this place, and that we have more in common than we probably have not in common. So really great shot, and just gives us a good overall feeling for not only the place but the people that it serves. And then again, going to the black and white, I mean, the other thing that's happening here in the black and white is like all of these darks are sort of getting muddied up with each other, and all the shapes start to morph into each other, whereas with this one, sort of each of the shapes was almost like a little different personality, whereas here it's almost like one big mass. So again, I recognize that it's probably a small thing in the grand scheme of things, but I think especially as you're working towards your final project, trying to keep that sense of cohesion in all of the photographs and making them look like they're all stylistically similar, that the same person has shot them and interpreted them. So, that's kind of the same way even on this shot here. So overall, really good job on your project. I like what you did here. I think the images are all beautifully taken. I just think the one little hang up here is the switch over to black and white. That really kind of, it almost changes the mood and the feeling of the piece when you go over to that. So just be very conscious of that as you start to work with your final project. And certainly if you have any questions about whether you should or should not convert stuff to black and white, let me know, and we certainly can hash it out together. So good luck moving forward.